We're live.
Okay, so welcome to the Node.js Diagnostic Working Group meeting, 22nd March 2022. To start with, are there any announcements?
We're live.
Okay, if not, we'll follow the agenda listed in the issue number 533 in the diagnostic report. So the first one is add trace GC to the diagnostic tooling support document from Node.js repo 42346. I guess this is related to the discussion that we want to make in the next item in the agenda, which is 532 in the diagnostic repo, reassess the tooling list and their maturity status. So are we okay to discuss both together?
Yes.
So basically what this means is we have the list of tools that we claim to support, and there are different levels of maturity, stability that we assign to each of these tools in the list based on some assessment we did some time back. So the question is, should we look at the list as a team and validate that their status is same, or they need any change, positive or negative change, based on various parameters that we listed for the maturity status. So in conjunction with that, or that one triggered Tony to open a PR in the core repo to add the trace GC tool to the support tooling list.
Yes. I think that the first time I read the issue and I discovered the list, I was asking why this tool wasn't mentioned. And then when we discussed a bit with Jairish, I guess maybe why it wasn't, because it's related to V8. But from my point of view, it was, even if it's just integrated in the JS, we maybe have lines of code that cover this integration. And if there are lines of code that cover the integration, we should cover it by test. And if it's possible to use it from a Node.js usage, maybe we should document it, maybe have a guide to make it easier or make the adoption easier. And then I thought that it could be interesting to have it in the list, but I fully understand if it's not the case. This was maybe a naive approach that I get there. And in a nutshell, that's it.
So one of the premise with these support tools is that they need to be documented in our Node.js documentation, API documentation. So there is a specific page that covers all the command line arguments as well. Trace GC is not listed when I checked. That is because trace GC actually is an integral part of the V8 engine, and if I assume correctly, it might be the part of the original proposition itself, and there could be many other useful flags that belongs to the V8, which we did not add in the Node.js documentation.
Yeah, exactly that.
But I think we have made exceptions also on that based on the usability in the field. Some of the V8 flags have been elevated to Node.js documentation.
Yeah, I would say the same. There's two flags that I not entirely sure if it is inside V8, but is the profiling one, the dash dash prof. I'm not sure if it is inside V8, but we have added to the tier 3.
Okay. Yeah. So as a working group, I believe the question we should be asking and answering is what type of flags, based on what conditions or based on what qualifiers we should be elevating to the Node.js documentation. Because this question will definitely come from the core repo when we add flags. So maybe some of the PRs will pass, some of them will have this question. So if having a clear guidelines on what is the qualifying criteria for V8 flags to be called as first class tools and to be listed in the support tools as well as documented. Is it based on the perceived usability in the field, or based on unique value these flags are providing, these tools are providing?
Yep. So we have to discuss. Yeah. And my point of view, I mean, if I could use it in my Node.js application and I could extract some crucial information, diagnostic information there, I think that it should be a part of the documentation. And I think, I don't remember, maybe I'm wrong, but I tried to find documentation on the trace GC itself from V8, and I didn't find anything. So maybe it'd be nice to, because I will understand if there are an existing documentation in the community and we could redirect people there, but I don't think that it's the case. Maybe I'm wrong. I should probably double check, but before raise the pair, I check, I think, and I found nothing. And yeah, so usability and yeah, sorry, go on.
In my mind, I'm not sure, like, I don't think it's, the documentation part is an interesting aspect, but I don't think that necessarily is directly related to what's in the table, although
Yeah.
I guess where I'm like, it's not directly related to the table, and whether the documentation is in the node core documentation or there's some other documentation that shows how to use it. I'm not sure that would affect it being in the table or not. It might be good to have this, I don't know if like well documented is probably something that, like, as the tiers go up, you would like to have better documentation. It'd be more like, is it reasonable for us, like tier 1, we basically say we're going to have tests and always be working. So is like the trace GC functionality something that it would make sense for us to have a test of in Node and validate that it's always working? And I think I'd agree that it's a pretty key thing. Whether I'd put it in tracing or memory, I'm not sure, but it is pretty important in terms of, like, if you've got an issue, that's something that we do recommend people turn on and is commonly used.
Okay.
Just my 2 cents anyway.
Yeah, I agree to that. So it's widely used in the field, and it provides very key capabilities. It helps solve the problems, and it's not necessarily documented in the Node.js repo, but it has available documentation. So that should be the criteria, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense to me. Anybody else having any other thought? So that will be the working group's opinion. And this will be the driving statement, not only for this specific flag, but anything comes in this way. That is newer toolings or newer flags. I mean, flags that are not listed in these support tool list. We should be using this as the presiding statement to decide whether it should be included or not.
Good.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you. So that would basically help move 4 to 3, 4, 6. Then we can come back to 532. Basically, the need for reassessing the tooling list and the maturity status. Anybody have any opinion whether we should do that? We shouldn't be doing that. So the benefit of doing that is if we see that there is a specific tool which is good, we think it is good, but it is not listed in the support list, which essentially means it doesn't have enough test coverage in the Node.js test bucket, and we are not promoting, we are not giving its due popularity, things like that. The tool is used widely in the field, but it's not at all honored by our project. We don't want to get into that situation, and vice versa also.
Yeah, I think that probably would be great before making this assumption as the group assumption. We check all the current list that we have and see if we see some edge case, or check if there is some tool that is not is no longer usable in this list. You know, I feel that before making those assumptions, it's better to check the current list and make it more accurate, I would say.
Yeah.
Just make a kind of validation before digging too much. Is your point?
Yeah.
And another point is, if you see one of the tool lying out there, which is either unclassified or in the tier 3 because it lacks certain qualifiers, such as some capabilities missing, and somebody is interested in fixing that would elevate the tool to a better status. So that also, such work items can also spin up through this initiative.
Yeah, I agree. I see some tools that is not yet classified, but it is mostly because this document was created some years ago or some months ago, I would say. Maybe it's worth it to revisit and check how it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so we agree that it's a good exercise to do. So the next question is, how do we do that? The natural choice is to do it in the working group meeting itself.
I think that, I think that would be great to do the same thing that we did for, I forgot the two, but
The deep dive and best practice documentation.
No, not this, but basically we create an issue for each one of those tools, add to the agenda, and then we goes through each of these items, and then we close during the meeting, and then it goes to the other meeting if it remains, So maybe, for instance, we create an issue in the repository for the node report that is not yet classified, and then we can do a synchronous discussion in the issue, but in the meeting we basically make a validation or close the issue if it is done.
Makes sense to me.
It will be, for example, one item by meeting, just to be sure that we move forward, or we could have several items by meeting.
I think that we can add all the items in the meeting, even if if the time overlaps, we just keep to the next meeting, because
Okay.
some items we may take I don't know 5 minutes to solve.
I agree.
Agree too.
So any other points to discuss on 532? So the action identified is basically to open issues for each of the tools listed in the tool list and pick items from the top in the upcoming diagnostic working group meetings and discuss as much as possible. If something is not complete, we carry over to the next meeting. If something is complete, we pick up the next one based on the time, things like that, and we progress. And asynchronously, we make updates to the tool list as well as required. And any other actions we can record and find owners and take it up.
Yeah, maybe it would be worth it to also, I don't know if there is a way to give a priority list, but basically we will add a lot of issues and add to the agenda. It means that if you, for instance, Stephen create a new pull request, and we need to discuss it, it will be in the last as a last item, and probably will be skipped because there's a lot of items in the agenda. So maybe we should create a specific list for those for that material. So maybe we should create that. Yeah, we should create just one issue, add just one issue to the agenda, and the other ones we don't add, and then we make sure that we pass through those items.
Yep.
So I think the calendar or the script that Michael runs makes some ordering, as I can see in the agenda. For example, the issues, the PRs or the issues that comes from the core repo appears on the top. So if you are raising PRs, I don't know how that would appear. Michael, any thoughts? Or if all the PRs will come on top, or?
In terms of I don't know how it's however the query returns them.
Okay. The problem we are trying to discuss is, suppose there are 50 tools, and if we add labels to each of them, we will have 50 issues lined up. And if we pick up the first item and discuss and find some actions out of it, and we implement the action in the form of a PR, and we want to discuss in the following meeting, will that PR appear in the bottom of the list, or is there any way to control that?
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think there's a good way to control it. It'll be whatever it does.
Okay.
I think that's fine then. Just look into the docs in the Google Docs, these minutes, looks like the node.js PRs will appear in the first. So no problem.
Should be fine with that. Okay. Thanks. The next one is 527, Slack channel to the OpenJS Foundation server. I guess this is done. Rafael, you did this, right?
Yeah, this is done.
Yeah, so this should be removed and closed. Meeting time again, 507. This is the tricky part.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody who logged in your convenient time, though it's little strange. We have the convenience of everybody, and if you can scroll to the last comment in the issue, we have 2 slots that shows the only or the best possible way for running this meeting. That is splitting into 2 slots, and the first slot will be run on 3:30 p.m. UTC, second one 10:30 p.m. UTC, and we will have 5 members in the first one and three other missing members in the second one. Then those will be the optimal time slot for everybody except Bradley. It's not a bad timing for him, but it's like if or maybe kind of a time slot, and that's the best we can have. Are we good with this approach? I think we should try this because the meeting time has been a nagging thing for us for quite some time, and one or the other members had difficulty in joining because of the timing itself. So at least on an experimental basis, we should try this and see how it goes.
Makes sense to me.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. Then the follow-up question on that is on the logistics. That is, we run one meeting in one slot and the next one in the next slot. So that essentially people in one slot will have one meeting in a month. And we will have to collaborate outside of the meeting through the minutes of the meeting or any other communication. We will need to collaborate what happened in the other meeting. How do we distribute the agenda? How do we discuss that? And so that's something which we need to, for example, if an topic is resolved in one slot, whereas there are stake for team members from the other slot, how do we manage that?
You mean to be aware of this, to be aware of the fact that the issue is solved?
Yeah, for example, in this meeting, we discuss something and we take a call through consensus. So we already took 3 or 4 decisions based on consensus. Now that, how will that work if the meeting is split into 2 time slots with 2 different set of people?
I think we just need to capture what the consensus is in that meeting, and then record that in a GitHub issue and let them use that to augment their own consensus in the next meeting. and just have,
Yeah, I
like,
think we should already be
formal
trying to
record.
get things into GitHub and decisions and stuff. So the minutes, if nothing else, should be recording that. And if there's something super important, it should be like an FYI, or it should be in an issue.
Yeah, like I like personally, I think in our video calls we shouldn't really be making hard decisions. We should, like, this is mostly just a discussion space to, like, get synchronized on things essentially. But like, and any, like, actual difficult decision making, I think we should be, like, bringing more to the community to, like, make a GitHub issue and leave it open for a while to make sure everyone has a chance to weigh in if they want to. Like, making
Sounds good.
decisions in a meeting like this is, like, a little like exclusive. Like, if someone, like, if someone wants to join, they can join, but I don't feel like we're particularly clear that that's the case, and can be kind of intimidating joining a video call with a bunch of people you don't know.
Yep.
That makes sense to me.
So, for example, if we, in the current meeting issue, we could then write down there all the decision or ideas that we put there, and let the other group check them and validate them, or could have the opportunity to have a word on them. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I thought that we have an issue for the meeting, and there are a PR for the node meetings, and they are not linked, and maybe it could help if we could have a link to the node meeting to let, and just mention it in the beginning of the next meeting quickly, 5 minutes, no more, and just let people be aware of the decision, or just
Yeah.
give a word on this. I don't know if it's doable. Maybe requires manual thing, or maybe you could automate it.
The not just the TSC manages this with a mailing group, right, Michael? For items that requires consensus, we use a mailing list.
Yeah, I mean, it will either be issues, GitHub issues primarily, and then if there's things that have to be discussed privately, then email is the fallback. So public issues are the preferred approach, so that we have a record and it's, you know, it's transparent and visible to everybody.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So that settles. The last one is I cannot share the second time slot, so I appreciate if somebody can share that. That is 10:30 p.m. UTC. So basically, Stephen, Michael, and Mary belong to that slot, and the rest of us in the first slot.
Yeah, I can definitely make it to the 10:30 ones. The 3:30 ones I might be able to make it to sometimes, so I can
Okay.
try and help with synchronization between the two when I can. But it is somewhat challenging for me because it's pretty early, and that's, like, exactly when all of my normal daily meetings are.
Are those 3:30 EDT? No, UTC, right?
If you're looking at the issue, all the times are in UTC. Yes.
Yeah, So that's like 8:30 a.m. here.
So 10:30 p.m. UTC is the preferred time for both of you, Michael and Stephen. Can you confirm that? Because
Yeah.
am I looking at the doodle correctly?
10:30 p.m. UTC is 6:30 p.m. my time, so that's not. That's not great.
Are you saying that there is a bug in the tool, or you incorrectly clicked?
Maybe I incorrectly 3:30.
You want the link?
Like the 3:30 p.m. UTC. Yeah, yeah. Where's the link? Maybe I filled it in wrong.
Here is it. I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay, I think I found it here.
You haven't
think
signed
the-
up for the other slot at all.
I think the problem may be that it shifted an hour because of the time zone.
Oh,
So it was 5:30 to 6:30, which was okay. Another hour out is stretching it for me. Like I usually work till around 6:30, but not 7:30.
so
Which is
is it that all of
unfortunate.
you registered your time convenience before the DST kicked in, and now all those times are shifted by 1 hour? Something like
I
that.
think
And
that-
I took the value before the DST change came in. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, I suspect that's what happened because that
Yeah.
was just a week or two ago.
Yeah, maybe we should just check in the website.
So 4 a.m. Right. No, UTC remains same, right? UTC is free of daylight
Yeah,
savings.
UTC doesn't shift.
Yeah. So what I wrote is correct, but then its translation gets changed to people who has the UTC, the DST changes. So what do we do from here? Do we redo the polling, or the only person who is not here is Mary and Bradley. So if everybody can look at the doodle poll again and make sure that with the current time also things are good, or if you want to make changes, if you can do that, I can
we
take another
actually
shot.
change it?
Yeah, I think that I can add one thing here. One time here that fits Mary. Let me see the other one.
I'm not sure I can change my existing one. I could add a new one.
Have you created the account when you fill it the doodle?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, so okay.
Wait a sec, maybe I can change me, never mind. But even if, it's weird. I think it's got the time, like it does a time zone conversion for you. But
Oh,
it's probably
yes.
based on the actual date is the thing. I could just shift it an hour, but it's It's going to be confusing.
So what you're saying is because the date is Jan 25th,
Yeah.
based on that, it performs the conversion.
Yeah, it converts it to like 5:30 for me because it's on that date. That's the time in UTC whatever is 5:30 for me on that date.
Okay. So the summary is that you are okay if the current time, that is 3:30 p.m. UTC, is shifted by 1 hour ahead. You are good.
I would miss some because that conflicts with it conflicts with the CPC meetings,
Okay.
which are pretty much every week. No, that moves too. So there would be some conflicts, but I think like everybody, there'd be some conflicts. So
Yeah.
every other day. So
that means if you say you're okay with that timing, and Stephen also is good with that, and Mary is also good with that, we should be good overall.
so the 3:30, the two times would be
3:30 p.m. UTC, 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
UTC.
right. So yeah, so the right, I'd be able to make the 3:30 one some of the times, but not the later one.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's fine. I mean, that'd be fine with me.
3:30, and the other one is
10:30.
10:30. Let me see. PM, right?
10:30 p.m. Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so let's let's all go through the list again, and if you can do a thumbs up in the issue if you are okay with the current timings, then we can actually decide on the logistics for running the meetings, if that is okay with everybody.
Got it.
Thank you. And the last one in the agenda is 437, identify async hook use case beyond async local storage. Stephen.
So not really any updates there since the last time. I have started to like semi-related experiments, but not entirely. I'm trying to implement async local storage in V8. Basically, I have a design that should be like quite a bit faster than going through async hooks, and also putting it in V8. So I have a specific need for it. That's a feature I'm working on. Essentially, I need to be able to get the async local storage state when a CPU profile sample is captured. So I'm trying to set it up so that we can basically capture just like all storage state whenever a CPU profile is captured, and then have like an interface to like evaluate that back into what the storage data is. So yeah, I have a PR, which just share in the chat. It's still like in progress. Not entirely working yet. Oops. That should be. Why is it direct messaging that? There we go. Now the basic idea is just using like V8 style scopes, like handle scope and things like that. To just like set a storage object for some period of time. But yeah, still working on that. So don't expect it to be in actual functional state right now. It partly works, but there's still lots of context loss issues that I need to work on.
Okay.
I just question, maybe a naive one. Then when you decide to put something on V8, you write a class in V8 and put all the stuff in C++, and then we have an interface just to have it in JavaScript and make it usable.
Yeah, so like typically what we would do is like make a change like in the V8 project itself, and then whenever that becomes available, then we just like create an interface on the node side. This PR is kind of cheating, and like modifying V8 in place, which we're not supposed to do, but it's a good and easy way to just test the idea and like prove it works before going to trying to land it in V8. Like for something that has any amount of uncertainty, it can be helpful to just do it that way, so you can kind of like test the concept for
The gains. Okay.
Yeah, like I would want to like make sure that it like the performance is like at a level that we're happy with before I would just go to land this, and kind of hard to know that until it's actually in Node and you can play with it.
Good, thanks.
Thank you. Any questions, any other discussions on 437? If not, that's the end of the list in the agenda. Any other points anybody wants to discuss?
And do we still want to keep 437 in the agenda? Like it's kind of been not particularly active for a while now.
Yeah, makes sense to remove it and revisit at a point of time where we think it makes to discuss again, for me.
Like it's mostly just like we need to actually build some of the stuff that's been suggested, which no one has really got to yet. I don't know if we're going to get more feedback on it than we already have.
Agree. Yeah. We can take it off the list. Yeah.
So I will create the issues for the tools during the week. Then
Okay.
we can discuss.
Thanks, Rafael. All right. If nothing else, we are done for today. Thanks everybody for joining. Talk to you in 2 weeks' time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye,
See
everybody.
you soon.
Hi. Okay, I need my apple.